You are now tuned in to Conscientization 101, an online magazine combining reflection, music, and action through independent media.
In America, the capitalist system not only makes the people stupid, but keeps them arrogant in their stupidity. This stupidity in the country, this calculated stupidity, affects the African masses more because they read even less than the others. And they need to read more than the others. Our people suffer because they lack knowledge. At this stage of human development, one of the best ways to acquire knowledge indirectly is through reading.
Yo, I'm reading this new book, man. Yo, this shit is so deep, yo. Shit got my mind thinking about a whole new other format, man. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck a book, man. The book is fucking your head up, man.
Yo, when's the last time you read anything, man?
Never, motherfucker.
I'm flabbergasted, smart bastard. Why won't he play his role and just act retarded? Cause when you grow single parent poor, that's your place. Don't read too many books, sag your jeans through your face. Chat shit, act thick, practice your backflip. Poke your motherfucking arse out for the cameras. Provide the entertainment for your cultural betters. Men of letters think we could only be smart if they let us. Though knowledge ain't for punks, they market it like it is. Cause who the fuck wants to be Carlton from Fresh Prince? But geeks design the systems and visions, the politicians, Malthus and the Smiths. We're living in their vision, so knowledge is power for devouring cowards. They showered you with propaganda each and every hour. That's why Malcolm never died. It's just another dog on the road, a symbol over the globe. Cause did you know the most rebellious thing you can do is get educated? Forget what they told you in school. Get educated. I ain't saying play by the rules. Get educated. Get educated. Get educated. Get educated. Break the chains of their enslavement. Get educated even if you're on the pavement. Get educated. What a weapon of your brain is. Get educated. Get educated.
All right. Welcome everyone again to another edition of Conscientization 101 podcast. I am your host, senior editor, James Stone. And right now you're listening to them smooth grooves of Chairman Math. Yeah, Chairman Math be jamming, right? All right. Today we have a very, very good show for you today. We will be playing excerpts from a conversation, from a dialogue that we had with one Ayesha, Harruna, Attah. Yes, Ayesha is an African novelist. She wrote two books, phenomenal books called Harmattan Rain and Saturday's Shadows, okay? Just a little bit how we got in, how we found out about Sister Ayesha. You know, as y'all know, if you've been listening to the show and following us on Conscientization 101, we are a big reader of the work of Ayikwe Arma. So, he has Perunk Publishing. So, we link to the books on the website. Usually gonna buy from Perunk Publishing. You know what I'm saying? That's a company that is run as a collective. So, I'm always on the website, Perunk, looking to see what they dropping, what new stuff they dropping. Pretty much read everything that he has up there. And so, I'd seen this book from Sister Attah, and it was Harmattan Rain. And so I was like, let me check this out, let me check it out. So I checked it out. I liked it. We liked it. C101 liked it. Okay? So, the rest is history. We decided to, talk to Sister Attah, and we found out, she had gotten a fellowship from Perunk Publishers, and the first work, Harmattan Rain, was written under the tutelage of the Perunk Writing Collective. So, very good work. Saturday Shadows, in that same vein, very good work. So let's get into the vitae of Sister Ayesha Harruna Attah, all right? Ghanaian writer Ayesha Harruna Attah published her debut novel, Harmattan Rain, with Per Unk Publishers in 2009. It was nominated for the 2010 Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Her recently released second novel, Saturday Shadows, was shortlisted for the Kawani Manuscript Project in 2014. Ayesha was educated in Mount Holyoke College, Columbia University, and NYU. She is a 2015 African Center Artist in Residency Award Laureate and Senkatar Fellow. She currently lives in Senegal, studying the oldest sources of African literature. All right, that's just a little bit of the vitae, get that out the way. I hate doing vitaes because it like reduces people to just a little bit of whatever the writing is, that's their life, like that's their whole life. That is, in no way could that encapsulate this sister's quote unquote education and all her work and nothing like that. This was a very exciting interview we did. This is the irony of everything, right? They call it Murphy's Law, right? We were up all night long trying to make sure that we would not have an equipment malfunction, and we were good to go. We were testing stuff out, and lo and behold, we did have equipment malfunction. Thank you, Skype. But hey, that's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? We were up all night. I was still high energy, still excited to do the interview. Sometimes when you stay up all night, I was introducing the sister. I pronounced her middle name wrong. I was so crunk and tied. You mean crunk and tied all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good interview. We talked about a lot of stuff, and this is just excerpts. Remember, this is just excerpts. You're not going to hear the whole thing. If you want to hear the whole thing, we'll give you details how you can get the whole dialogue at the end of the show, as we always do. Another thing, before I forget and get out of here and we can get into the show, I'll say something about JJ, okay? I'm not talking about Kid Dynamite from Good Times or nothing like that. I'm talking about Jerry John Rawlings, the former head of state of Ghana, not JJ from Good Times, but your name is Jerry John, so you know what I'm saying? That boy named JJ, all right? And so, before we get into the show, I want to just let everyone know from this point on, we've been planning, C101 we trying to plan some nice big stuff coming up early next year. We got some changes we're working on right now, and that's how you do planning, people. You know what I'm saying? It's planning. So we planning now. Actually, we were planning, and before we even launched this next phase we're about to go into early next year. So it's something that supporters and we think a lot of people will be happy with. Can't get into too many more details than that, but let you know we are working on some big stuff coming early next year, okay? Make it a lot easier to disseminate this conscientization. Yeah. All right. Like we said, Ayesha Harruna Attah, this African sister, boy, she can write her a story. So without further ado, before I keep rambling on, let's just get into the show. Let's get into the dialogue we had with Sister Ayesha Harruna Attah. All right, we are here with Ayesha Harruna Attah.
Harruna.
Harruna. I'm sorry.
Harruna
Attah.
Yes.
Okay. Before we introduce your two novels, this one and this one. Listening audience, I'm holding them up quick. Okay. I read them. I didn't just buy them. I read them. But I want to ask a really quick question about on my notes, because I was pronouncing one of the sisters' names. I believe I was pronouncing wrong. I just want to get the right pronunciation.
Okay.
I was calling her double A Because sometimes when you read stuff,
I know.
There you go. Thank you. You already know. I was like, man, that's my girl.
They're
Double
my
A.
babies. They're my babies.
Yes,
So.
you knew who I was talking about. Okay, good. Now we got that out the way.
Yeah.
And so her novels are Harmattan Rain, and the second novel, her latest novel, is Saturday's Shadows. But since we got you here, and you can do it far better than I can, could you tell us about the premises for Harmattan Rain and Saturday Shadows? Two wonderful novels, by the way. Y'all need to get on C101 website. Go buy them right now, please, when you listen to this podcast. All right.
So Harmattan Rain is the story of 3 generations of a family, and it's set in Ghana in West Africa from just before independence to the late 1990s. And it's the story of Ghana's coming of age, as well as these 3 women's journeys to self-discovery. And I was inspired by stories I'd heard growing up. My grandma, was born in 1923. So she was born way before the protagonist of Harmattan Rain. So she's seen so much. She's still alive. She's 91 now.
Oh, wow.
And so her stories inspired me. And then my mother, as a child of the 70s in Ghana, and her stories as well, were of a time when Ghana was very, very different. Yes, politically it was unstable, but it seemed like when she was my age, or even younger, she had a lot more freedoms that I didn't have. So that fascinated me too. And then I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and Ghana was going through another transition there from being under military rule for, decades to a civil to civilian rule. So there were things I remembered as a child, like being scared of soldiers, and even though nothing happened to me directly then or to my family in that moment, I was always frightened as a child. So I wanted to talk about these moments. So that was what led to Harmattan Rain. And then Saturday Shadows sort of picked.
All right, y'all. We were experiencing some technical difficulties on Skype with the call keep dropping out. So Sister Attah had dropped out. So what she had said was that in referring to Saturday Shadows, it kind of picks up where Harmattan Rain left off. And it starts after a 17-year military dictatorship, and then it transitions to civilian rule. So that's what she said when it dropped off. So let's get back into the interview.
The head of state is the same person who was, military ruler and now is civilian president. So I wanted to explore that a bit in Saturday Shadows, like just concentrate on one key year in this family's life and how that bigger transition was affecting the family's internal workings, especially because one of the protagonists was working in the government and then came to some sort of revelation that he wanted to work against the government and bring about change. So in a long nutshell, that's what these 2 books are about. Yeah.
All right. So I want to start off from where you left off, and I want to talk about the title, Harmattan Rain. Now, after you read the book, right?
Yeah.
And I read the book, and you mentioned the Harmattan in there. Then I went and looked up Harmattan. I looked it up after the fact.
What is that?
Yeah, right. I was just trying to wing it, like, man, I know this. Yeah. Right? Then I said, whoa.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the title? And if you want to tell the listening audience what a Harmattan Rain is and how you coalesced that in the title.
All right, I will. I've lived in West Africa for most of my life, and first was in Ghana, and now I'm in Senegal. And in West Africa, there's a phenomenon called the Harmattan. During the dry season, there are these dust-laden winds that blow in from the Sahara, and as a child in Ghana, your skin would get all white, your lips would get chapped, everything would be cracking, and it'd be so dry. Like, in the winter in the US when you get ashy, it's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
The same kind of thing. But this is caused by dry dusts from the Sahara. And in Senegal, it's real. It's like you can actually see a haze of dust. Like, I hadn't seen that before. And so needless to say, with all that dust and dryness, rain is not something that you see a lot during the dry season or when the Harmattan is present. So when it does happen, it's violent and quick and abrupt, and then it's gone within a second, and then the dust comes back. Mm-hmm. So I was sort of inspired by my environment. And when I'm writing, wherever I am, I'm constantly picking up cues from things happening around me. So I might see somebody cross the street and do something crazy, and I'm like, okay, this is going in the book. It doesn't matter if it's not, like, it doesn't have anything to do with the bigger arch of the story, but I'm like, that was so crazy, I need to add it. So when I was in Senegal, we had one of these violent Harmattan rains. And so I'd been looking for a title, and then I thought, wow, that's fitting, because not to give anything away in the story, but a lot of the events that happen are, sudden and abrupt and change people's lives for good. So that was Harmattan Rain. That was the story of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like it also because the fact of the matter that it's like it just says it's real thick, the sand, like you said, get ashy, and it's the story is multi-layered.
Because sometimes you're reading it like, this is what's going to happen. And then it's no surprise, and when it happens, you're like, yeah, I knew it. Yeah, same with detective movies, because that's how I started. I started reading with detective books, and I was always interested in like who done it, and figuring out who the suspect was, or who eventually became the guilty person, the guilty party, and. So I still like to inject that into my books, a bit of that mystery, even though I'm not writing detective stories and it's mostly literary fiction. I still like that element of, ooh, who did this? Yeah,
I can't put it down.
Exactly. That's what I liked about it, because I don't like cop stories personally, but yes, I do. No, I stay away from the police if I can. But you end up dying from lead poisoning around here. But yeah. So the thing about it is, it was people that you could relate to. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I really liked about the story. And like you said, you follow like 3 generations of some sisters' lives of characters, and you provided like the detailed imagery all from like Ghana over the course of like 4 decades. Then you gone over into America in the late 20th century. I never thought, I'm just be honest with you, I never thought I'd read a book that talked about the coup of Kwame Nkrumah. Mm-hmm. And I'd be hearing about the shout out of RIP shout out for Notorious B.I.G. all in the same book.
All at once.
I never thought I would see that in the same book. You know what I'm saying? So that reminds us of something one of your mentors, Ayikwe Arma. Hey, he's close to my heart. He helped wake me up. Saying this book, remembering the dismembered continent. He said, my writing may be inspired at times, but the inspiration comes not from palm wine or yamba, and definitely not from heaven or hell. I love that. It comes from knowledge acquired through regular, systematic research. And I want people to understand that it's not about getting you some of that yamba, that wine, and opening up your third eye. It's about study. Like when you get in the gym, hit them weights, get swole. So I want to say, so what was your process in acquiring the knowledge to bring this novel to life? Because, particular parts of it, you weren't even alive, I mean, you had in there, like the Nkrumah, when overthrown, now that was tense. Because for somebody who's pretty intimate and knowing about Nkrumah myself and reading about him and stuff like that, conscientism, see the connection, whoa, right? And the crowd was chanting, no Satan. And then they were saying, no PDA. Now, PDA, y'all, that's not a public display of affection. They was talking about the Preventative Detention Act of 58. But how were you able to capture all that? I'm just Really curious.
You answered it yourself. Research, research, research. And in writing the first book, I had Ayesha, holding my hand through the whole process. And maybe I should backtrack and talk about how I got there. I was in the US and my visa was running out, and I said, you know what am I going to do? I'd been working in a magazine company and working for a fashion designer, not really doing what I wanted to do, which was right. But I said, okay, you know what? I'll move back to Ghana and figure something out. And then within 2 weeks, I found out about Ayesha's program, his writing residency for young African writers. So I applied, and it was for people aged 25 to 35. I was 23 then, and I was like, please, please, please take me. I'm mature, I promise. And he read my writing sample, and the cooperative that he manages, unanimously agreed that I could come. So that was how I got there. And it was a 9-month-long program. And the first couple of months was figuring out what we wanted to write about. And so I knew I wanted to write about 3 generations of a family, like I said earlier. But then he also just pushed us to reach beyond just telling a simple A to B to C story. He made us think about vision. Like, if you're writing anything, you should have vision. You should have a purpose for writing. So that's where the whole Ghana story came in, because I wanted to understand how we started out as a people, how Ghana, the country, started out as a people, and where things went wrong. Because you go back now and you realize something has gone really, really wrong. And it started out with a ruler who had such purpose and he had such dreams for the whole continent. But what went wrong? So those were some of the questions I asked myself. And then I read Nkrumah's biography. I read, missionary accounts of the Gold Coast. I read, there was this was my lifesaver, one of Ghana's major, if not the biggest newspaper, the Daily Graphic. It had a compilation of newspaper clippings from 1945 to 1995. I might be getting the dates wrong, but it was over 100 years of clippings, and that was my lifesaver. I just read it from cover to cover, and they'd even have like ads of shoe polish. That to a writer is a godsend.
That's detail, yeah.
That's detail. That's detail right there. What kind of shoe polish would Lizzie used to polish her shoes and things like that. So yeah. So it was a lot of research, and then interviewing people. I talked to people who had lived through that period, like my grandmother as well, and just getting as much as I could. And then the last part of it was my imagination. At some point, I had to let my imagination do the walking and the talking too, because ultimately it's fiction, not journalism, not nonfiction. So I let my imagination in there as well. But even now in Ghana, Nkrumah is very polarizing. You find people who are so for him and people who are not. And so I grew up learning about these two things quite early. So that's how I was able to put them into the book. But nutshell, reading, research, asking questions. And Ayesha himself was an amazing resource, because he grew up in Ghana in the 40s. He saw a lot of changes, and sometimes I just sit him down and ask him, like, what happened? Just tell me what happened.
Yeah,
tell me everything.
And he wrote The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born.
Exactly.
And so,
35 years ago, one man set out to turn this country into a modern industrial utopia. He was Kwame Nkrumah, the first leader of a newly independent black African state. His aim was to transform Ghana into a society shaped and driven by the power of science.
And I see and hear springing up cities of Ghana, becoming the metropolis of science, learning, scientific agriculture, and philosophy. Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all other things shall be added unto it.
Free your reign, the nation power, free so fly, power to every home. Free your reign.
1, 2. The
first leader of a newly independent Ghana. Faced many a challenge to visions of utopia. The vision was based on science and agriculture. Here come the vulture, shitting like pigeons on a sculpture. Nobody's perfect, yeah, we got thoughts, we can list them. Legitimate questions arose about his wisdom. I quote him, seek ye first the political kingdom. He told them, an orator that would capture the nation. At the heart of the master plan, the across and Budam, I remember going as a little man, full of innocence, thinking it's magnificence. Parents taught me about its historical significance. A visionary or a dreamer, I heard in his mind's eye the doctor saw United States of Africa. Yeah, there was scope, there was hope, plans to use the boat up to harness volts and currents so we can see currency. Certain sinister things going on we didn't see. The opposition put that down to naivety, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. An important lesson we learned throughout history. Dr. Nkrumah's intentions were the best, but it's all a mess, cause we still needed lots of help from the West. Forthright, the plan was to harvest bauxite, a cheap source of aluminium for Great Britain. It was all a hype, the empire took flight. Needed a new source of funding, USA was smitten. Eisenhower saw the benefits of black power. We can industrialize, but we didn't realize negotiations nearly made the deal capsize. Cunning and sneaky, man, they fucked us up the backside. They had Nkrumah by the balls, he had to backslide. Eyes wide now, committing economic suicide. Electricity at all costs. Entered the World Bank, entered the theory of takeoff. Kennedy and his foreign aid during the Cold War, turning Ghana into economic slaves. Now the Europeans smell blood, enter stage left, they slide in, bribing and selling Ghana duds. The greed and the ignorance was like wow. I heard officials even invested in snow plows. Oh wow, I think it's time to take the doctor out. £600 million in debt, that's what that's about. By 65 the dam was brought, but it was too late. Ghana on the verge of being great, but now the people hate. Military coup after coup is appalling. 7 times the charm, enter Jerry Rawlins. There once stood a great man, great vision, a great plan. Determined to realize what he'd seen for Africa. Things fell apart. Yes, he was determined. Never overlooked the fact of what power. He laid the foundation for our future. We salute ya, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, he was a great man with a great plan. Yeah, it got twisted. The plan was raped and manipulated for the gains of the US industries, namely Kaiser Aluminium. And gain they did, unfairly so, at least for a while. That's at least until another capable and great leader came and commandeered the sinking ship. His name was Jerry Rawlins, but that's another story, you know. But for now we salute Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, because he laid the foundation. Ghana's flourishing today off the fruits of his labour. Read up about him, man. There's a lot more to the story. There's a whole lot more to the story. Did you know the CIA were responsible for his downfall? Howard T. Bain of the CIA received commendations and a promotion off the back of engineering Nkrumah's downfall. It's crazy, right? But that's dope. Shit, I gotta go back, man. Bake, I miss you, man. Storshi, my brother Kwame, I miss you, man. I gotta go back. Jamie, where are you, man? Probably on a rig somewhere. Yeah, I'll see you soon, man. I'll see you all soon. Real soon. Christmas, God willing.
I know you can't like tell us because it might be a years of training, but how do you?
Not a keeper.
Well, I know you're not a keeper. I'm just saying, like one time, I'm going to be honest. One time I attempted to try to write a book and I tried to make one character and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I was like, how do you even write a character? Like, how do you prevent yourself from giving away too much too fast? From, you know what I mean? Like, I guess because I'm used to like writing short stories for school, you know.
Okay.
Like, how do you
it's
prolong the process? And you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a process. And I think each story is different and each story has its trajectory. Some call for more. Some ask to be very, very short. But when I was in Per Ank's residency, what I learned to do was to plan a novel, which is not what a lot of people do. Well, there are different kinds of writers. There's some writers who will go in and just write from A to Z. Mm-hmm. There's some writers who start in the middle or have their ending first and then continue. apparently Toni Morrison, she always has her first line, which is wow. The first line almost always comes last to me. And so what I learned with Ayikwe Ama was to think of writing in the same way you would any profession. And architecture is a good analogy. So you know how the architect will plan her building. The writer can do the same thing. You can plan your building blocks. And that way, you don't wait for inspiration to strike. You can go towards the thing that moves you the most. And once you have the plan, you can say, okay, today Ekwefi's story sounds the most compelling. I planned it, and I could write with what was tugging at my heartstrings the strongest. And then once it was done, I had the whole picture, and I could reorganize and move things around. And same with Saturday Shadows. With that one, I played with time a little bit more because each character's story is told sort of, especially Theo's. Theo's is told 5 years, away from the actual activity or the actual narration. So planning really gives me freedom to not get tired, to play with structure, and to not procrastinate because I have something to do all the time. So it's something that you could consider if you're listening out there and struggling to write, having a plan, and like each chapter will have its section. And it's kind of crazy when I show my plans to people because it looks like an Excel sheet with all this text and all the characters and their ages are listed and what they like, what the different themes are. But I find it really, really, really helpful because my brain likes order that way. Some people say I'm a crazy creative because creatives are supposed to be all over the place, but I really do like order.
Well, yeah, it seems like you would have to be very organized. I think it's amazing that people can write novels.
I do too, because it's the human experiences that you bring into it is just like I don't know. That we'll get into another question along those lines a little later on.
Okay.
But I want to kind of move it on. Like one of the things I really like, conscientization, revolutionary Pan-African objectives. That's what we are. Okay.
Okay.
Like Chinwezu. Okay, that's how we roll. Okay.
Alrighty.
Right. So the thing I really liked. And I try to push the books to people because they can see the Africans over here will be able to see the same type of things, contradiction. I say things over here, contradictions. Yep. You get to see the CP time. You get to see Ghana Man time. You get to see all of it. And then when you see it, people have a nascent relationship of, I ain't no African. I ain't come from Africa. We see you the same grease. What you talking about? Come on over here. You can get you some of these cops over here. We all the same, baby. That's what I be trying to tell the people. And then when they see these characters, you see, I try to tell them, but you read these characters, they see Lil Kojo making the mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? They remember when they was in the 90s saying, can we talk for a minute? They remember that Tevin Campbell. I know some of y'all ashamed y'all listen to Tevin.
I had Tevin Campbell's tape.
I listened to him.
There you go. And then what people say is, oh, they listen to Tevin Campbell? I say, yeah we listen to Tevin Campbell around the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, but and I just want to say, and then one of the things I really liked when Zara, okay.
Zara, yeah.
I'm gonna just tell a little part of the, now ain't no detail, but I'm just saying, all y'all Africans know when y'all dealing with a bureaucratic situation, you turn on your British or your white voice.
Yep.
You do that.
Yep.
Now that's a detail. That's an African detail you done caught right there. I could have said that was an African detail that you captured with such accuracy, but I wanted the people to hear it. So I've been studying my Googie. So I'm gonna talk right to the Africans and Americans. Say that's a detail that she caught off in the story. Okay, that's for the Africans.
You find yourself doing things and you're like, listen, I have grammar. Okay, I can speak well. So now. You give me what I want right now.
There you go. Exactly. So my question,
but like you said, the contradictions. It's crazy.
It's exactly. So I think stuff novels and like this will be able to like really bridge the gap so people can see we really one people. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't just say that we're one people and try to promote some kind of tourism like JJ did. You know, I know what you did, JJ. You know what I'm saying? Then going to the World Bank, neoliberalism. But anyway, you know, so I just want to get your assessment on like, you know, how is it like, you know, literature like this, literature like Amaz, literature like Ngugi's, literature like Chinwezu, and also literature over here, literature around the world. You just came back from Brazil. I mean, there's so many Africans down there, and they don't tell us this in the U.S., and we so smart, aren't we? We so smart, but we don't know about that. So I just want to know what's your assessment on how books such as yours can see, not from we're all African, brother, sister, but see, ooh, look at Pastor Edom, girl, he look good.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing that was going on, go on right over here, especially since we was colonized by the same Anglo-Saxons. They just called themselves American. So, you know, Kojo had his uppers. You know what I'm saying? Kunle was, you know, whooping. Nah, let me just go ahead. That boy was clean. He was like, say, girl, you know. I was like, anyway.
He's so excited.
Always.
Always. Yeah, but it's true. I started writing because of Toni Morrison. That's why. I read her stories and I saw myself in her stories. And I was 13. I was in Ghana. I hadn't been to America. I didn't know half the things that went on there, except for from TV and you know what that does and what that shows. But I read Toni Morrison and I was like, wow, like women in Ghana go through the same thing, the same things. So that was really it for me. And it took, women and African in America to get me into writing. And that's exactly what you're saying to me is like with the same people. Like in Brazil, the same thing happened. Like even with the way people, I would go into a small town and the way mothers would talk to their children. I was like, this is the same way my mom would be like, you better act right. Stop misbehaving. Like, same look. And we have a woman visiting. She's so fascinating. She's also a writer, and she's visiting Senegal now. And she grew up her family's from Louisiana. She grew up in LA. She lives in Baltimore now. And she's lived in a lot of African countries. But just interacting with her, I'm like, wow. You are so African, it's crazy. Like you're so African American and you're so African at the same time. It's like, But I think, hopefully more books will illuminate that it's all a process we've been through. It's a process of movement that we've adjourned a number of journeys, some very, very violent and forceful that we've undertaken, but the stories are still there. The stories, there's still fragments of stories that are still there. And if we can find them and heighten them and show that we're more like them, we're different, it's a start. And it's a way to really start thinking of ourselves as one, as a way to start building up what we've lost or to wake up. So I think literature and film and, programs like yours can do this, and it's a small step process. In Senegal, they say danke danke, which is like small, but I hope like tiny drops will eventually get somewhere. So I'm very excited about the times we live in, and every time there's new literature out, I'm like, yes, we need more of this. We really, really need more of this to show our similarities. And Ayikwe Alma's books, he even goes a step further. He's like, yes, and this is how we're going to get things done.
Right.
So, yeah.
It takes one mind to start a revolution. All it's gotta do is start recruiting, saluting, planting seed in every single human. One move can start off a movement, so start moving. Tell your brother to move too, and tell your sister to move too. I'm trying to make the music to move you, yeah, not Harlem Shake. I'm measuring the limits that your heart can take. I'm treasuring this moment every single day. Every day is a one away. One's original, one's an individual. One by itself, so spiritual. One life God's given you, one order. So far I got one daughter, one heart, and it's all hers. One comes first. One family, one us. It's just one love, one love, one love.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we need to set us free. So one life, one love, together we are one soul.
There's power in the one, no us without you, no mind without soul, and that I now know. I'm one with the future and ancestry. Tap into your true self and set free the rain that comes, the days of sun. As time waits for none, it all makes up one. No beginning, no end, the continuous cycle. Feel the notes of the instrument spiral, aiming at one heart. All it takes is one fool to make a gun spark, and it's another bloodbath. What a shame in the slums that's paraded, but all it takes is one man to change it. One voice with the tongue animated, and no more with our young carry hatred. Time to spark the revolutions in people with simple logic. All contributions is equal.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we need to set us free. So one life, one love, together we are one soul.
Some of us are born blind, not everyone sees the vision we envision for these lost streets. Imagine a whole village raising one seed. That's how it was before we scattered like the lost sheep. Some getting wet tonight, some sleeping on a soft sheet. Some getting vexed cause I don't see it like it's obsolete. I see it like I need to be the change I want to see. Fire Affy blaze, flames until we wander free. Babby wrong, looks strong but it's gotta end. We know they're getting onto us cause we're onto them. They can tap the phone for hours, that don't stop the pen. We're one but they get one with us, call them the monster men. I'm looking round at the lions counting 1 to 10. Then 10 to 20, really one is many. A bag from a pound from a penny. It's time to listen to each other and lock off the telly.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we need to set us free. So one life, one love, together we are one soul.
One sun, one moon, many stars. Do you know who you are? Take control of your path. One left, one right, which way? One death, one life in His name. One mind, one brain, many levels. The Most High, one God, many devils. One soul, one sight, one love. One goal, one fight, one us. One gun, one bullet so deadly. One people facing one enemy. Out of many comes one energy. One blood, one aim, one destiny. One tree, one bite, one felony. One seed, one womb, one legacy. One dream, one key, one memory. One day we will feel one ecstasy.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we need to set us free. So one life, one love, together we are one soul.
I'm one like the sun and the moon. For my presence when I walk in the room. A mummy in the tomb, a baby in the womb. Do you really know, or do you just assume? Listen out for the real, cause we got big tunes. And there's more in store, get your mind in tune. Now let's get together like a bride and a groom. Whatever the weather, keep riding through. Can we move as we cruise on our journey? With one motive, a plan that's worthy. So we're devoted, I plant my feet firmly. And stay grounded, surrounded by elders from early. I get along with those that know, and those that don't. We make do cause we're on the same boat. It's the truth, show the youth how to move. Then watch things change, and we stick together come sun, come rain.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we
One thought, one dream, one vision. One force, one team, one mission. One life, one step, 1 minute. Only one chance, might check, one lyric. Always two sides, don't just talk, listen. Only one love, one God, one religion. Read between lines, only one supreme mind. Only one level, one source, one peace sign. Only dealing with the positive vibes, that's the target. But I still remember them times were full of hardship. Seen us all progress and come far from when we started. Had many questions, needing the answers. Like, how come so many people are starving? Soon to be reaping from seeds that we're planting. The roots grow deep, like a tree from the garden. One as a movement, we're keeping it marching as one.
One life, one love, one soul, one mind, one you and one me, one sun, one sea. The truth we need to set us free. So one life and one love, together we are one soul.
Important to me. Other people's life important. My life is only important if me can help plenty people. If my life is just me, my own security, then I don't want it. My life is for people.
All right, this is where we got to leave it for now, but not to fret. If you want to finish listening to this interview in its entirety, all you have to do is go to conscientization101.com or c101magazine.com and subscribe today. And you will have access not only to this particular interview, but to all of C101's interviews, past, present, and future, plus much more. See subscription benefits for full details. And most importantly, you will be supporting 100% independent media. This episode has featured sounds from Akala. The track is Get Educated from his Knowledge is Power mixtape, Volume 1. Y'all haven't heard Volume 2 is out. That all on my own. See, I can't do that, but man, that's the opening track, you know, Mr. Fire in the Booth. Y'all need to check that out. And not a coincidence, I'm not going off topic, I'm not rambling too much, but the irony of it is that, like, okay, Akala's album, The Thieves Banquet, this is some crazy ironic shit here. Check this out. The Thieves Banquet, his album, right, that came out in 2013, right? I had just finished reading in 2012 The Devil on the Cross, right? So I just finished reading The Devil on the Cross from Ngugi. Guess what comes out in 2013? The Thieves Banquet. Kind of based on The Devil on the Cross. I was like, damn, man, this dude is in my head. You know what I'm saying? And another irony of it is this. Check it out. It's kind of like what, you know, Raggle Zulu Rebel and Cyclonius were talking about, the one light vibration. And if you're in tune to that same type of you trying to answer these questions of the world and you on that same path, you're gonna run up into this knowledge, not because it's like metaphysical, but because you studying and going down the same path. And truth is truth, right? How do you know the truth? From constant struggle against lies, right? So you know what I'm saying? So check this out. So on the Thieves Banquet, right? You know, it was funny. I heard this brother that was doing the intro for Mangamizi, this brother's talking about awakenings and stuff. I was like, man, this dude is cool. But, you know, I downloaded the album off iTunes. So, you know, I don't really read the liner notes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, yo, that brother's speaking some deep stuff. And I had like Ayikwe Amar like on my Amazon. It kept coming up like, check this 2000 season up. And I had that book on for a while. So I just finally decided to give it a try. The irony of it is, you know what I'm saying? So I picked up 2000 seasons, read it, and I was so moved by the book. You know what I'm saying? I did a YouTube search on Ayikwe Amar. And the irony of it is the intro from Mangamizi off of College the Thieves Banquet was from a clip of the YouTube, the only YouTube that I can find of Ayikwe Amar talking about awakenings. You see how this music thing and everything just comes together. That's how this stuff works, y'all. Conscientization 101. And back to the featured music on this episode. Chairman Math from his album 1976. The track was Rise. From Arise King David from his album Free Music. The track was Nkrumah Salute. And last but not least, from Logic and RU1 Fam's collabo album We Are One. The track is One, featuring Amy True. We want to thank Sister Ayesha Harruna Attah for taking the time to dialogue with us. And if you want to keep up with the work she is doing, you can find her on her Facebook page, Ayesha Harruna Attah, and on AyeshaAttah.com. And remember, links to Ayesha's work and all music featured on this episode can be found, as always, in the description of this episode on C101.com. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at Conscien1, that's CONSCIEN1, on Facebook at Conscientization 101, and Instagram at C101 Editors. Thank you for joining us. Go to the website, tell a friend, go to the website, tell a friend, and one more time, go to the website, tell a friend, support independent media, Conscientization 101, we out. Peace.
If you have not enjoyed yourselves tonight, you've been listening with Chairman Matt. God bless you, aloha. We'll see you all in just a little while.